better. Okay, so the tool that we're adding this time is a chamois. Somebody know what a chamois is? It's like what you dry your car with, like that piece of leather. Have you guys ever seen that? You dry your car with. It soaks up water really good. It's kind of slimy and whatever. What?
No, I was thinking, does anyone have a car?
So I'll show you how to use that in a second. Okay, so wet your clay up. Pop it down, pat, pat. And then center. If you want to practice coning up, I like coning up. I feel like it kind of lines up the clay particles. So my heels of my hands are at 7 o'clock and at 2 o'clock, and I'm squeezing that up and then bending it right back into itself. Squeezing it up. Also just kind of warms the clay up. So once your clay is centered, you go to put the metal hole in. Remember I showed you to put your metal hole in, you put your fingernail like down that center point, but this finger stays at an angle so that when you put that center hole in, you kind of already have a bowl, right? Whereas some people, if this is your clay, some people go straight down and then their finger gets suctioned and it pops out and then they can't see the bottom and it's off center, okay? So this is going to be even more important that you do that like I showed you at an angle. So I'm putting that center hole in. The tip of my finger is going straight down. I'm not letting it wobble while the rest of it stays at an angle. So now see how I can see how far I've gone down? Now with your cylinder, you left about this much for a bottom, right? For a bowl, you're going to leave about a ½ inch or more, depending. Why? Yep, so you can trim the foot. So if you want a really tall, fancy foot, you'd leave more clay down there. So if I was doing a cylinder, this is the point that I'd pull the floor, okay? But instead of pulling the floor, I'll take some of that water out so you can see it. Instead of pulling the floor, I'm gonna kind of massage this into a nice round shape. This is a common mistake when I empty this out so you can see it. See how I have like a little divot in the middle there? Yes? You see in there? We don't want that. But it happens, it's a common mistake. So you want to make sure that you don't have that divot, that it's just all a nice smooth shape like so.
So not a 90-degree angle?
No 90-degree angles. Nope. Everything with a bowl is round. At least the way that I'm teaching you. Okay? So, do I want to explain this yet? Look up here. So you do the center hole, and a common mistake is to kind of keep this cone shape that I had at the beginning. Like people skip over that nice rounded shape. And if you keep that cone shape and skip over the rounded, then your bowl ends up to be like a funnel, which is not what we're looking for. So instead of looking for this, we're looking for a nice fat belly with a round bottom. Okay? More like this. So this bottom should look like I could take that softball or a ball and lay it right in there, and it would perfectly touch all parts of that ball. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's our floor. The whole time my left hand was supporting the clay but not pushing as I was doing that. All right, so that's all done at high speed. But now I'm going to go to the right side to throw, and I'm going to slow my wheel down a little bit. This is another reason I think bowls are harder, is because with cylinders, you are asking your hands to pretty much do the same thing. Both hands doing the same thing. Now you're going to ask one hand to do something different than the other hand, okay? And I will explain that. So my inside hand is going to start in the middle, but it's just going to kind of follow this curve, okay? And my outside hand is going to start down here. They're not going to meet until about right here when they start to really apply pressure. My goal is to throw this and not mess up this beautiful shape on the inside. Okay? So I'm pushing a lot with my outside hand. Now I'm pushing with my inside hand also and bringing that clay up. You should also pay attention to controlling your water. You should no longer have big rainbows of water on the floor. So just constantly be wiping your water up. Okay, here's my next pole. Pushing it in down here at the bottom. Can you guys see how thick this is right here? Okay, so I want to apply more pressure down there where it's thicker. Get that nice full belly out, and then thinner as I go to the top. You still should try to throw the majority of the bowl in 3 pulls. Less pressure at the top. All right, so that's the majority of my bowl. But now I want to go and do some shaping. You really want this inside shape to be mimicked on this outside shape. And I want it to just have this nice curve all the way through. So how I personally do that is I kind of hug my bowl like this. I'm supporting it with this left hand. And then with my right hand, just kind of perfecting that shape. Okay, so if you looked on the inside, the outside, they should look the same. Questions? Okay. At this point, I can take my chamois. See how my rim is kind of flat? It isn't good for a functional rim. I can take my chamois and hold it over that rim and just lightly press it, and it just compacts that rim, smooths it out, makes it nice and round. Questions? Okay. Then I'm cleaning up my wheel. I'm going to show you how to do the pouring bowl. The pouring bowl is the only bowl, like I mentioned before, that you do the transformation on the wheel. Okay? So for the pouring bowl, I wanted to get a lot of that bulk off, but I still want my hands to be wet. You're going to make a rainbow with your hands. And this rainbow is going to protect this rim. So I'm going to hold this rainbow here, so when I pull down on this, I'm not messing any of this up. My goal is for this to still be a perfect circle that I've done. So rainbow, and the little finger here is going to go under the rainbow with a little hook, and wiggle, and bring it down, and there's your pouring bowl. Looks simple, right? Guess what?
It's really hard.
It's not actually really hard, just a little bit.
It's not that hard.
Not that hard. Here's what I recommend is if you mess a bowl up, just practice making a whole bunch of on just one bowl that's messed up anyways, okay? Okay, so that's that.